Today I'm going to do a mounting and framing project for one of my prints. This is not expensive to do. This particular print here is 11 by 14. I had this made at Walmart. I did it online. It was like $6 and another $1 to have it delivered at home. It come out pretty good. Okay, as 11 by 14 print, I want to mount this and I want to frame it. The hardest part of the project is the mounting, and you need a lot of practice. But the way I'm going to do the mounting of this print is going to be very easy. I bought poster board. It's 22 by 28. My frame is 16 by 20. So there's going to be a lot of this board I'm not going to use. But the problem is positioning the print so it's exactly square in the frame. Now I'll show you how I'm going to do this. First, I've got to apply spray glue to the back of this print. Professionally, they have mounting presses to do it in, but how many people have mounting presses? So I'm going to use spray glue outside. I've got newspapers laid down outside. It's the best place to use the glue is outside, the spray. And I have rocks along the edges to hold it down. And I've got Krylon spray adhesive. Got this at the art store. I haven't used this in about 3 years. Hopefully it'll still spray. I've got my print on the newspaper. Of course, picture side down. And I got my spray can. And I'm going to start spraying. Now you see where it's curled up a little bit here? You don't want to spray this way, you'll get glue on the print surface. So spray away from the bend. See if this still works. Okay, I've got my spray glue on the back of my print, and I've got it more or less centered on my 22 by 28 board. It's actually a thin board. Okay, and hopefully I got enough glue on it because my can of glue was about 3 years old. I had a hard time getting it to spray. Hopefully I have enough. Well, now I've got the print just laid down approximately in the center. This is the easy part, because I don't have to be exact to where I'm laying it out, just more or less in the center. Now I'm going to roll the glue down. I found a paint roller in the shed. This is old. I'll get a new one later on. But anyway, this has not had paint on it. But this is what I'm going to do to roll it down. Pressing hard. Look for little bubbles along the edges and roll those down. This print is exactly 11 by 14. Oh, I don't have it all the way out here. By 14. So I know how to get to 16 by 20 inches by just measuring down the edges here. And I'm going to have the picture sit. In the frame, it's maybe 3/8 to a 1/2 inch higher. It's for a little balance. So the print is 11 inches wide, and I'm having it in a 16 by 20 frame. So 16 inches minus 11 inches is 5 inches. And halfway on both sides is 2.5 inches, which I'd set my mark at 2.5 inches. But I want the print to be raised just a little bit, so I think I will make it around 2.25 on the bottom, 2.25. Well, let's see, yeah, 2.25 on the top, which raises the print up. I've made a mark at 2.25 on the top, and don't worry about the pen or pencil mark because the frame will hide that. Now I have a straight edge on my 2.25 inch mark at the top, or the top of the frame. If you don't have a straight edge, use a straight board, some kind of a stick that you know is straight. And there's my mark made with the straight edge. And as they say in the cutting business, measure twice, cut once. So there's my top line, and I measured down 16 inches. Marked here, and use my straight edge to make the bottom line. So there's the top and bottom lines for cutting of my frame. Now for the side cuts, my picture is 11 by 14, and my frame is 20 inches wide, so it's a 14-inch wide picture, so that leaves 6 inches. And divided by 2 because I want the picture in the center, that's going to be 3 inches on either side where I'm going to make my next lines. I made my marks for the sides of the frame. There, there, and there on that side. So I'll use my straight edge and mark those lines. And there is my 16 by 20 outline for my frame. Now the important thing about this exercise is that you don't exactly have to put the print in the center of the board if you're using an oversized board, because it's very difficult to center a print when you're using a 16 by 20 board and you want it dead in the center or wherever you want it, high or low. It's very, very difficult to use that because once the glue hits the board, it's hard to move that print. So you just put it approximately in the center visually and then work from there and get your outline. Now I am going to cut this outline with scissors. It may not be perfect, but the frame will hide any imperfections I have along this border line. And if you were a professional, you would have a cutting board. But to get a cutting board that will hold a 22 by 28 inch piece of cardboard is very, very expensive. So this is how to do this at home without expensive tools. So I'm going to cut that outline with scissors. I'm not cutting exactly on the 16 by 20 inch outline. I'm leaving a little extra on the edge because the paper will expand with a little bit of heat, and if it's too tight in the frame, it'll start buckling. So you got to leave some room in there for the paper to expand. There is my print cut to 16 by 20 inches with scissors. Now for putting it in a frame. I've got a piece of 16 by 20 inch glass I'm cleaning. I have this for years for all the framing I've done for my art show prints. But you need glass, 16 by 20. Now Walmart sells 3 sets of picture frames with plastic or glass for about $5 a piece. I haven't used those, but if they are exactly 16 by 20 inches, which will fit in the frame, that's you can do that. back in the days when I used to do art shows, is in the late 70s, I used to buy my glass at a glass cutting place. But anyways, now I'm cleaning up my glass cleaner. And I'm using gloves whenever I handle glass, just to make sure I don't cut myself. Now this is a 16-inch by 20-inch Nielsen frame. I like these Nielsen frames. Oh, well, I used to use these in the 70s when I was doing art shows. I don't know what they use today, but they're still very elegant, and they still sell these online. It makes your pictures look like they come out of a gallery, or when they're hanging, it makes your house look like it's a gallery wall. And they're relatively inexpensive. You come in 4 pieces. You buy them in pairs, and the 16 by 20 frame today is about $20. And these just slide right in here. You go inside, then you have a place to put your wire. Nielsen frame. I've cleaned the glass, and I've slid the print in. There it is right there. Now, I'm using a couple of prints I made from the past I have as filler to fill up the space. Fill the space here so it makes it a little bit tight. And then you should have a barrier piece of paper, which I don't have. I got to go buy some more poster board as a barrier, because then you're going to have cardboard on the back. And if you don't have barrier paper, the cardboard, the wood in the cardboard will seep into the back of your print. So I need to get that, which is nothing more. I'm just buying another poster board and slip that in. But this is what I put together. A couple of my old prints that are already 16 by 20, put them in there to thicken it up, and finish off with cardboard on the back. And there is my finished, mounted, and framed print. 11 by 14 photograph in a 16 by 20-inch frame. Now this setup, it looks like it's ready for a gallery showing. There it is, the finished project in all its glory.